In this task, we're going to create an existing ground surface or a surface from contour data and spot shots. So we're going to start with creating a new project, and we'll go to new and select the project template that we want to use for the project. When I click OK to that, it's going to create an empty project that's got some predefined settings such as our layers and other material information that we have set up. So the first step is to actually bring in the data. We're going to go to our Windows Explorer and we're going to navigate and bring in this existing survey drawing. This existing survey drawing contains not only the contours but some other line work and spot shots. So all we have to do is drag and drop it in. Now that it's in the drawing, the next step is to standardize. Now we could use the surface tools here, create a surface and select the members to build the surface. But because of the way we have this project template set up, we're going to simplify this process. So we want to use the standardization functionality that's found either on the data prep tab or the takeoff tab. When we go to standardize, we're going to select the contours first. So I'm going to zoom in, I'm going to grab my index contours, and we're going to put those on the OG contour layer. We're going to select the index contours or the intermediate contours, and we're going to put those on the same layer. Next, what we're going to do is we want to add the spot shots. Now, if we try to standardize the spot shots on the OG spot layer, the surface will actually triangulate to the text insertion point rather than the X. Seeing that the X, which is a block, if we take a look at it and look at its properties, you'll see that it is a spot X block. If we explode that block, we end up having two lines, and therefore it'll triangulate to each end of the line segment itself. So we actually want the insertion point of this block. So we have a pretty simple process for adding or creating points of these objects. So what we're going to do is I'm first going to go to the edit tab, and I'm going to do a select by layer. I'm going to pick this layer, so it picks all the objects on there. We can close that select by layer, or I can leave it open. And then I'm going to go to advanced select. On the advanced select, it says it's set up to be current selection, and we want to choose just the block reference. So when I do that and I hit apply, it only selects the X. So now I can close this and it still keeps the X selected. Then I can go to the CAD tab, and on the CAD tab I can say use the command create from CAD. I'm going to select the insertion point. I'm going to use a starting point of 1000. I'm going to set my layer to go to the OG spot layer that I have, so spot elevations. And we'll just put in GS for ground shot for the feature code. I'll click apply. You can see that it created 270 objects. I got 270 selected, so we should be good. If you want to see them, you can turn on the point IDs, and you can see that we've got numbers. We've got elevations that should correspond to our text elevation, and you can turn on the feature code as well if you want to see those. Alright, so we can turn all that information off. We really don't need to see it. And then all we have to do, and I'm going to create a 3D view by selecting this command here. We'll bring it up on its side, and I'll split the screen so you can see the plan view and 2D view, or a 3D view and 2D view. On the takeoff tab, we're just going to click build surfaces. It's going to take the data that we've put on those layers and it's going to use that to build the surface. We can ignore this for now. That comes into when we're actually doing a site takeoff. And if I go over to my layer groups and I turn off the existing data, I'm removing the contours and the spot shots, as well as if I go to the layers here, I can actually come in and turn off the spot elevation text. Alright, so if I click that, I can turn that off. So there's my surface. Now we've got some triangulation that goes outside the surface. If you pick the surface, right click and go to properties, you'll see this. If I turn on the wireframe and plan view, you'll see this triangulation goes outside and creates some erroneous triangulation. So we have this white line, which is a boundary or polygon around our surface. We're going to add that as a boundary. So if I go to the Surface tab, select Surface Boundaries, pick my original ground, and then for the boundary, I don't want to use my surface, I want to use this line right here. So I'm just picking on that line. I'm going to select Add. You'll see in here that it's going to clean up the triangulation. So now we can go back to the properties, pick our surface, and turn off the wireframe in plan view. So now we have our existing ground surface, or our surface created from contour data and spot shots.